Good evening, everyone. Come and join us and fill the seats here. How exciting. We're going to wait for everybody to grab their seats, and we're just so happy to have everybody here with us this evening. And what a day it is. May 14th. We are here in 2025 in a reality that many of us could never have imagined. A reality of a world that in some ways seems turned up on its head. And so it makes events like these even more important in the eyes of many. An opportunity to bring together people from the leadership community with members of the diplomatic community. And I am so excited to share that tonight we have representatives from 18 countries in attendance with us to commemorate Declaration Day. So thank you for joining us. We also want to, of course, say welcome to all of those who have joined us from around the world virtually, who are a part of tonight's Declaration Day commemorative event from the comfort of their homes, wherever they may be, as virtual citizens of Israel, proud to stand with the Jewish nation, not only in celebration, but in commemoration of the history that we come tonight together to reaffirm. So we want to thank all of our global community members, and that's a great reminder actually for everybody to please turn off your ringers on your phones, myself included. You know, coming together at events like this is an environment in a way I grew up in. I was a young leader, continuously inspired every opportunity that I could be to join together with people in conversation. Tonight's Declaration Day program, our third annual program, is a conversation that is had amongst so many different elements of Israeli society, and also those who are around the world who, again, are joining us through the Israel Forever Foundation and our global partners who have helped to make Declaration Day possible for this, the third year. We are excited to enjoy the presence of many of our participating and partner organizations here, and we'll be hearing from a few of them throughout the night. You know, in the world of diplomacy, knowing who to listen to, what white noise to block out, what tactics work, and what friends we can trust, these are the elemental components of any diplomatic success. All of us here in the room, those of us around the world who continue to fight for the rights of Israel and Jews and all of humanity everywhere, we know that it is our ability to navigate these challenging courses of narrative that is an obstacle. But we don't have a narrative. We have a truth that we can be proud of. And it is important that that truth is integrated into the world where diplomacy meets the political realms so that they can successfully converge and create an impact on society. The more we talk with one another, the more of an impact we can have. The more we work with one another, the more we collaborate, then the more we can spread inspiration. One of the attendees tonight came up to me and said that it was evenings like this that Israel needs the most. Not a huge gala celebration, but rather a bringing together of the minds so that we can strengthen our spirit. And that is what the Israel Forever Foundation has always stood for. I am the proud CEO of Israel Forever. I have been building this organization with the proud investment and inspiration from my esteemed parents, Richard and Phyllis Heideman, who, while they are not with us tonight, are with us in spirit as they celebrate Declaration Day in Washington, D.C. And there are indeed dozens of communities that we have connected with over the many months of encouraging the commemoration of Declaration Day, who join us They might be small gatherings in homes or community events where people are coming together for a way to celebrate not only Yom HaAtzmaut, on which we celebrate, but on Declaration Day, where we must, absolutely must, remind the world of the historical milestone that took place. What can be achieved through these interpersonal connections are tested by the effectiveness of solutions in real time. The Zionist dream was one such endeavor. It was through the relationships that were established that others came to understand the depth and value of the Jewish nationalistic vision, something not all outsiders understand. They find it to be something worthy of accusation, as if it is a problem that the Jews would have a state of their own, an identity to be proud of, a history that deserved to be protected. Without an understanding of the ancient connection between the people and the land, one can be swayed quite easily by the socially acceptable lies and libels that are thrown at the Jewish nation. Every possible twist of truth has enabled the spread of hatred based entirely on fabricated claims, and the masses, we know, are quick to believe, just as they have been in every generation before. The diplomatic relations developed between the nations of the world and Israel have proven to be essential to weakening the spread and also to be an actively driven purpose to change public opinion about Israel and the Jewish people that will perhaps curb the continued rise of calls for another genocide, another Holocaust, another October 7th that are being heard everywhere and on every platform and in every private space. The tragedies that were reflected in the brief treatise of hope that is Israel's Declaration of Independence serve as a liaison to the collective past and a future that we had prayed for generations, fought to have recognized, and that we saw affirmed on November 29th, 1947, and fulfilled on May 14th, 1948. You would be astounded to know how many don't remember May 14th. And for that reason, our gathering tonight is even more essential, because the leadership of those who stood together, sat together in the secret gathering as the invitations were distributed, but hand-delivered as they were, so that the declaration could happen precisely at 4 p.m., so that it would not desecrate Shabbat, out of respect for one another. Because in this group, there was every type of Israeli, and there was every type of identity and religious affiliation. So it is that leadership and their legacy that is revived through our efforts to bring together so many different groups of people and to remember and respect what the historical milestone can mean for future generations. Because they, just like us, they dreamt of a life of peace, free from being hated, maligned, demonized, and dehumanized. And bringing you together tonight returns to us and returns to them the humanity so many are trying to strip free. This is a dream we all fight for, and one that we must do more to negate the forces determined to eliminate Israel and the Jewish life from memory and from the earth. We know that our relationships are crucial, and the relationships we hope that we'll develop tonight will turn into action, opportunities, ways that we can increase our impact in a world where Jews and Israel are increasingly threatened, because every day there are more attacks. Every day more lies, more videos, posts, encampments, protests, and the illegitimate use of power to advance a jihadist agenda that undermines our very humanity and unites with the other elements that already were steeped deep in their hatred, resentment of Jews and the Jewish destiny. So while we are watching whole nations be torn apart, the world is growing impatient, and what they need are proactive voices that are willing to work together. And that is the goal of Declaration Day. On Yom HaAtzmaut, we celebrate. And on Declaration Day, we reaffirm. Where you sit tonight are your conversation tables for our diplomatic roundtable, where you will be invited to take part in shaping a new voice on what your declaration can be as we move forward, as we carry on this third annual Declaration Day towards a bright future, so that not only here, but online and everywhere, we can see more and more people recognizing May 14th. We can see more countries, more schools, more homes, more synagogues, more organizations. And I'll be frank that we had started our outreach for Declaration Day after November 29th of this past year, knowing that it was a grand opportunity to awaken people to say, we honor the vote in the United Nations which we know has perhaps become a bit unfriendly, shall we say? We're being kind, aren't we? A bit unfriendly towards Israel. And it is our job to hold these bodies accountable. And one of the ways that we can do that is by continuing that affirmation that since November 29th carries on. So as I reached out to organizations and partners around the world, we were often met with silence, with bystanderism, with compassion fatigue, with people who said, well, we have other causes that we are working on now. And I ask you, what is a more important cause than making sure that the historic moment of May 14th, when the British mandate came to an end, is not affixed in the annals of history? If we rely on our Jewish calendar alone, and I am someone who celebrates all the Hebrew birthdays of my children and my family, but if we do that in the world does not understand. Our job is to help them feel connected, and that this declaration can be theirs as well. Because standing up for Israel is standing up for the future of mankind and for the future of peace. Thank you. There were 664 words in Israel's Declaration of Independence. What can we do with 664 words? Well, we're going to give that challenge to a few of our speakers tonight who have come to share their message and to help us as we navigate these conversations that we hope will be the spark of something meaningful that we will be able to carry as light around the world today on Declaration Day and every year on Declaration Day. So again, I thank you for being with us tonight. We have a wonderful brief program in store for you, and I'd like to just welcome our first speaker on behalf of our media partner, JNS, the Jewish News Syndicate, Ruthie Bloom, who will come and share a few remarks.
Well, Elana, you didn't tell me I was going to go first. That's a problem. Okay, usually some people think of me as a purveyor of gloom and doom because of, of my pessimism when I write, but actually I would like to say something that is the optimistic part of the pessimism, and that is that none of the bad news that we're hearing is anything new. And we've gotten through it, and that means we will get through it. Now, I would like to say something. I made a lot of mistakes in my life. The one I never thought I made, I never considered it a mistake, was moving to Israel in 1977. No matter what, I've been through wars, intifadas, raised my children, driving lessons, every possible, and bureaucracy, all of it. Never have I been sorry, and not after October 7th either. And that is because I feel that we have truth on our side. That's not the only reason I love Israel. I love Israel because I think Israel is really vibrant and sexy and interesting and all that. That's the real reason I love Israel. But what's behind it is truth. Now, why is that important? I know that JNS, I'm going to plug JNS for a minute, okay? Our mission is to tell the truth. Now, that's pretty easy when truth is on your side. Israel actually, being pro-Israel, is on the side of truth. So, I mean, it's the Jewish people are an ancient people. This is the land of the Jews. The state of Israel was recognized. It is legitimate. And rather than being warmongers, as we're accused of, we're peacemongers. If anything has caused us a headache, it's our seeking peace at every opportunity. And it is therefore easy to tell the truth about that, because it is the truth, despite all the lies. Now, I have to say, even I was a little surprised about the response to October 7th, because one might have thought that kind of abuse, horror, and terror, torture, etc., on that day would have caused the world to at least have some sympathy or understanding of what jihad is about, or the aim to kill the Jews. And the opposite happened. The opposite happened. It unleashed waves of anti-Semitism in places we never thought it would be. Across the United States, who would think there? It just was incredible. So, but I'll just say, I know Elana told me just to talk for 2 minutes, and everyone who knows me knows that's impossible. However, I will just show one thing, since I'm really here as a media representative. This is the New York Times from May 15th, 1948. And the headline is, Zionists proclaim new state of Israel. Truman recognizes it and hopes for peace. Tel Aviv is bombed. Egypt orders invasion. Now, it sounds like it could be written today, but I will say, when you read the Bible, it also sounds like it could be written today. So that's why I say it's the good news. It doesn't matter how often we're invaded or what. It does matter, however, as Elana said, that we band together and that we don't succumb to the pressure of the liars, because truth really is on our side, and that is true in the media as well. And when the media outlets present Israel in a negative light, that's not the truth. And so that's why I said JNS really is making an effort to you don't have to be biased even. Anyone who somehow people think that when you're telling the truth about Israel, that means it's your narrative, you're biased on the other side. No, it's not. It's because Israel really is a great place, and it really is a peace seeker, and it really is the homeland of the Jews, and that's it. Thank you.
Recognizing the role of media is essential because we all are using it every day. There is a distrust in legacy media, and so it's essential to see new entities such as JNS coming and taking an active role in holding media accountable, making sure that truth is shared. So Ruthie, we want to thank you and the entire JNS team. Steve, Lindy is also here, and others who have been actively involved in making sure that truth is shared. So we want to be thankful and recognize those who are working in media for that integrity, which unfortunately has been lost in so many media outlets, and also remind ourselves that we have an obligation to hold those accountable if they indeed are spreading lies. That is also a part of what needed to be done even these 77 years ago, when it was essential to hold the media accountable for how they were going to report. We're pleased to provide for all of our guests this special edition of that original newspaper that you're welcome to take, because we believe that the more that you, in your embassies, in your communities, the more you have a resource in your hands, the more you are inclined to utilize it, to engage with the history that is presented to you, to find ways to open conversations. Now, this, of course, being our goal tonight, we want to open our conversation across the international spectrum. One of our first speakers is going to be our esteemed ambassador from Russia, who is going to be sharing with us a few words that he wants to present. Are you ready? I want to say thank you so much again for joining us here. It's such a pleasure.
Thank you, Elana. Thank you very much. But first of all, I'm not an ambassador. I'm deputy ambassador, which is an important point. First of all, it's a really good idea to see the newspaper of Saturday, May the 15th, 1948. But it's an American newspaper. I wish next year we could help you arrange a Pravda from Moscow, because this one says that Truman recognizes, but actually when speaking about historical issues, we need to clarify that the President of the USA declared the recognition. The first country to formally recognize the newly established state was the Soviet Union. Just to put it in a correct way. Thank you very much for Israel Forever Foundation for this invitation to speak to this honorable audience today, and it's a good occasion to speak about the foundation, the time of foundation of Israel, and from the Russian perspective. The idea of recognition of a new state and the diplomatic attitude to this idea was not something which was decided upon in a spontaneous way in Moscow. It was thoroughly thought over and worked upon for years, actually. Back then in the 40s, the embassy which was responsible for the mandate time Palestine was our mission in the UK. In 1948, the ambassador Ivan Maisky had to travel back to Moscow on business, and he routed his voyage in such a way that to make a stopover here in Jerusalem. And he insisted, after meetings with the British authorities, that he visits David Ben-Gurion and has a meeting with him and stays in kibbutz to have a look at what the Zionist movement here in Yishuv at that time was all about. And he delivered a message back to Moscow, and no wonder that in 1947, our permanent representative in the UN, when there was a discussion on the partition plan, I will quote now, was speaking about the partition of Palestine, and the plan said that it will be a matter of big historical importance, the establishment of two independent states, Arab and Jewish one, because this decision will comply with the legitimate aspirations of the Jewish nations. And will fully comply with the high principles and goals of the Organization of United Nations. So that's why the Soviet Union voted in favor of the partition plan which envisaged the future Jewish state. And that's why Later on, the Soviet Union was the first to formally recognize and later on establish the relations with the State of Israel. But the establishment of a country is one thing. I'm not here to tell you about. You know much better than myself that it was established in the circumstances in which it was established and how the new young state had to fight for its to prove that it's a really independent state. I would like to quote the future Prime Minister of Israel, and at that time she was an ambassador of Israel to the Soviet Union, Golda Meir. She wrote a book later on, and she wrote that right after the establishment of the State of Israel, at the very critical moment of the war for independence, it was the assistance of which came from the Soviet side through the Czechoslovakia, meaning the military assistance, helped a lot to hold and to fight back the opponents, enemies at that time. So the relations between Russia, Soviet Union, Russia, and Israel, they had their ups and downs during those decades. But today, looking back, I can say that our relations, our bilateral relations, they have stood to the test of time. And despite all geopolitical circumstances, we managed to hold the constructive bilateral cooperation between Russia and Israel. Today, Israel is important to Russia. We cooperate on different levels, and the most importantly, when talking to our cooperation, we refer to the political level. Just recently, we had a very warm conversation between the President of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, and the Prime Minister of the State of Israel, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu. It was on the 6th of May, actually, two leaders, they spoke at length about the events of 1945. And we hold dear that in Israel, people remember and know the role of the Red Army in and its in the defeat of the Nazi Germany and the end of the horrors of Holocaust. This is very important. By the way, it's well known that 500,000 Jews fought in the ranks, bravely fought in the ranks of the Red Army at that time. Dear friends, colleagues, as people say here in Israel, Dmea ve'esrim. So in English, I would say to 120 and far beyond. So I congratulate you once again and all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's never ever to be taken for granted just how important it is to have representatives from the diplomatic community come and address at evenings like this. We have been honored each year of Declaration Day to have a different ambassador from different nations presenting their continued affirmation of support. We all know that not only is history complex, but the current climate is not one that is easy to address in any even diplomatic space, no matter political realm. So we greatly appreciate the friends and allies who do come and join us for this evening. We are truly honored for your presence, and we actually have prepared a thank you for each of the nations that came, a thank you certificate of recognition, and of course a complimentary copy of the historical newspaper, because we know that those friendships are so important. And who better to emphasize the importance of this dynamic than a member of our own parliament? We have with us tonight member of Knesset Ohad Tal, who is delivering remarks on behalf of Israel for tonight's Declaration Day commemorative program.
Shalom, shalom, and good evening. On Friday afternoon, May 14th, 1948, a relatively small crowd stood outside the Tel Aviv Museum, waiting anxiously. They didn't know exactly what was about to happen, but they knew it was history in the making. Inside this very modest hall, David Ben-Gurion was reading Israel's declarations of independence. Outside, some people lifted glass to celebrate, but others lifted a weapon. That is because less than 24 hours later, 7 Arab armies invaded the newborn state. And yet, one moment from that day is etched in our national memory. The fact that the Jewish people didn't wait for permission to exist. We chose to stand proudly, independently, and with faith. That choice to stand strong is what we are honoring here tonight. As Dr. Elana Yael Heideman wrote, this is not just a day to commemorate history. It is a day to strengthen identity. A day to remind ourselves that we don't just love Israel, we are committed to her. A day to recognize that Israel's story is not something that is written only by soldiers in the battlefield, but also by Jews all around the world who raise their voices and say, I stand with Israel. You know, friends, today, once again, Israel is under attack, not just by rockets, but by those who question the very right of the Jewish people to exist and to have their own state. And you know, I'm thinking, while we're talking about this day and the Declaration Day, that the Jewish people basically, we broke all rules of history, of physics, by returning here to this land after 2,000 years of exile, because there is no other nation in history who was sent to exile for 2,000 years to 4 corners of the world and have returned to their homeland like the Jewish people. Now, the big question is, why have we returned? Have we returned only for ourselves? Only to have, as some people tend to say, to have the right to defend ourselves? Or did we came back to bring a new message to the world? I believe that the second option, that is the right option. We came here not just for our sake, but really, really for the sake of humanity, to really bring a blessing to the entire world. So on behalf of the state of Israel and on behalf of the people of Israel, I would like to thank you. And I bless this gathering, and I call on all of us to keep standing with strength and pride for the one and only Jewish state. Thank you so much.
ביום שישי, ה' באייר תש"ח, 14 במאי 1948, אחר הצהריים, באו המוזמנים אל בניין מוזיאון תל אביב בשדרות רוטשילד 16. הם התבקשו לשמור את סיבת ההזמנה, טקס הכרזת העצמאות, בסוד. אבל בבואם מצאו את חצי העיר ממתינה להם. סמוך לשעה 4 הגיע דוד בן-גוריון. כל חייו היו מסע אל הרגע הזה.
זוהי זכותו הטבעית של העם היהודי להיות ככל עם ועם עומד ברשות עצמו במדינתו הריבונית, אשר תפתח לרווחה את שערי המולדת לכל יהודי ותעניק לעם היהודי מעמד של אומה שוות זכויות בתוך העמים. לפיכך נתכנסנו אנו חברי מועצת העם, נציגי היישוב העברי והתנועה הציונית, ביום סיום המנדט הבריטי על ארץ ישראל. מתוקף זכותנו הטבעית וההיסטורית ועל יסוד החלטת עצרת האומות המאוחדות, אנו מכריזים בזאת על הקמת מדינה יהודית בארץ ישראל, היא מדינת ישראל. מתוך ביטחון בצור ישראל, הננו חותמים בחתימת ידינו לעדות על הכרזה זו.
Can you imagine what a historic moment could be in a world without social media? And how was it heard around the world? You've seen the photos, everybody crouched by their radios and listening and anxious. And can we only wrap our minds around what that did also for the subsequent generation? And then we forget. We forget to not, kind of take it for granted. We forget that we have to cater to some of the underlying questions, concerns, the disagreements, the dilemmas. There were a number of dilemmas that were involved in the drafting of these miraculous 600 some odd words. And did you mention God? Do you not mention God? Do we say state? Do we say homeland? Do we include the word democracy? What we have in front of you on your tables is actually a copy of the Declaration of Independence that you are going to use as a part, and it's also in your booklets right in front, where you're going to be able to use the text to read together and to talk amongst others at your table the fundamental questions of what legacy remains after such a historic time when years and years later so many do not recall. Take a look at that text as we recognize the countries who recognized Israel then and continue to recognize us now by being in attendance. We are again so grateful for members from Angola, Argentina, Australia, Azerbaijan, Czech Republic, Ecuador, Ethiopia, Guatemala, Malawi, Nigeria, Panama, Philippines, Romania, Russia, Rwanda, Sri Lanka, Tanzania, Thailand, Tuvalu, Ukraine, United States, Uruguay, Uzbekistan, and Zambia, who have all joined us in affirming Declaration Day on May 14th. Sitting amongst you now are members of these diplomatic groups, and we want to encourage you to open the conversation tonight as a way of not only welcoming one another, hearing each other's voices, but also welcoming the legacy upon ourselves. Who are we as we seek to carry on the words, the intention, the vision that our forefathers set before us. So take a look, take a few minutes, enjoy your dessert, read the declaration text, and let's see what questions you can come up with and what declarations for the future you can propose, because the time we're facing is a crucial one. And having a member of Knesset address so strengthfully and representatives from other countries who we hope will also share their voices tonight, they are crucial to our ability to move out of this current heavy, difficult time that we continue in this war, the continued war for Israel's independence. And so, like our soldiers, and amongst you, you might find the opportunity to meet some of our guest reservist soldiers. We have here a esteemed colleague of Israel Forever who I would like to just honor, Itamar Hayun, who is a reservist soldier who works with Israel Forever to help bring the type of strength and resilience that he learned as a soldier and help Jews around the world, and of course our friends of Israel who are a part of the global community for Israel Forever, helping to find the kind of resilience that Israel as a nation and of course our soldiers represent. So thank you for your service, and thank you for the service of all of our soldiers who are not here tonight, who are out in the battlefield, who are continuing the important battle for our freedom. Amongst you tonight, there are leaders from different international organizations. There are people from Israel and from outside of Israel, and this is our chance to come together. As we continue our light evening, there is coffee and tea in the hallway. We are going to have, as I said, a brief discussion before we are able to wrap up the night with concrete resolutions and declarations that we look forward to hearing from each one of you. So please enjoy, and we will come back to speak again together in just a few moments after our conversations reach the pinnacle as they have in the generations before us. We're going to ask if there are anyone from your conversations that would like to share. Please, of course, come in from the foyer. And those of you who are joining us from far, far away, we know it's hard to be a part of a live stream when you cannot feel the type of schmoozing that's taking place in this room. But as a couple of people will testify, wow, it really is meeting people that makes a difference. So we hope that people have had an opportunity to talk. For those of you who have something you'd like to say, come on up to the podium, and we'd like for you to share your declaration as a closing out for our very special evening. As you come up, we're going to play now a declaration that we received all the way from California.
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm California State Senator Ben Allen, representing West Side communities of Los Angeles County in California. From the very other side of the world, I just wanted to wish everybody a happy and special Declaration Day. After all the trials and challenges that have tested our people throughout history, the world took notice on May 14th, 1948, and affirmed the independence of the State of Israel and our rebirth in our biblical and ancestral homeland. After all these years later, the need to continue reaffirming Israel's independence, its sovereignty, and the Jewish people's right to homeland remains. We see the threats every day, the scary anti-Semitic rhetoric that has been on the rise again since October 7th. But please know that leaders across California and the United States continue to stand in unity and solidarity in support of the Israeli people. The California Legislative Jewish Caucus, which I was proud to chair from 2018 to 2020, has prioritized and passed hundreds of millions of dollars in the state budget over recent years to enhance security for religious and cultural institutions, rebuilding Jewish summer camps that burned in recent wildfires, expanding our Holocaust Museum and Museum of Tolerance and their services for local families. We've also taken important steps to revise curriculum taught in our schools to remove anti-Jewish and anti-Israel biases from the curriculum. I'm proud to join each of you today in celebrating Israel's Independence Day. Thank you, Israel Forever, for your work. Yom Ha'atzmaut Sameach.
quite a thing to receive declarations. This is from a senator in California, and we have indeed received from all over the world. So they are there. They are out there. They're looking for opportunities to use their voice. Not everyone is about the protests, and not everybody wants frontal advocacy, and not everybody feels confident to be really a public spokesperson, but we can be inspiring them to find ways to explore and use their voice. So Daniel, I'd like to welcome Daniel from the Kerem House in Tel Aviv, who works with bringing communities together in his area. Please come and join us and share your group's declaration for the night.
We have the next one here.
All right, I'm going to get him.
Right, I'd like to thank our group for the collaborative effort for our table. We want to say that if we were tasked, and it is a huge task to think what can we add to a declaration that really changed the lives of millions upon millions, but we feel that the declaration, there's one thing that it did not have the chance to do, to thank all of these countries who took a risk and said, yes, in favor at the UN. And we think that in the new declaration, which would really affirm the right to sovereignty, to self-determination, to protecting our people, should also give thanks and recognition because the world is lonely without friends. We know this here, and we feel this should happen on the larger macro level, from not just the countries like Guatemala and Honduras and Papua New Guinea and the United States who recognize Jerusalem as the capital, but in many places where politicians, where public figures, where celebrities will go visit a synagogue, visit a hospital, speak up for the Jews around the world whose support makes living here possible. The new declaration should say, okay, we have created a state here, reach out to our friends, we reaffirm the rights of those around, and we say thank you. We recognize each and every one of you for the risks you take to help the Jewish homeland continue to exist. This is what our table, Eliza, Avia, and the rest of us come up with, and we hope to add it to the incredible declarations from around the world that came through till today. I'd like to welcome Harel Bokobza. Just so you know, he's a 3-time slam poetry winner, but in French. We're going to understand in English, but yes.
Okay. First of all, what a pleasure and honor. I just ate too much before, so I hope I'll be able to speak as I should. Barbara forced me to come here, but I'm honored to say a few words. In fact, I'm respecting my friend very much, but my position is very much the opposite. I think the problem we are facing in Israel since many years and today as well is that unfortunately we are not proud enough of who we are and what we are. Yes, indeed, having friends around the world is important. But if you are a Jew and you look at our history and you think that we are here thanks to anyone around the world, in my opinion, you are rather blind. Because the reason we are here in this country, living in the state of Israel, is because we had a visionary people among our nation that saw through the problems and believe that in spite of those who are not willing to have us here free in our own country, they managed to do so. So what I would add to the declaration, what I would embrace more, is rather less seeking the support of others, the affirmation of others for our rights on this land, or what America is going to say about the conflict in the Middle East, about Gaza. Ben-Gurion said something very wise. He said, and I'm respecting everyone, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to cause any diplomatic crisis, but Ben-Gurion said, what's more important is not what the other nations will say, rather what the Jews will do. And I think we are not embracing that enough. Yes, indeed, what's important is what the Jews will do. We are still hostages in Gaza, and Gaza is not shaking enough. We are here around the tables, drinking and eating and laughing, which is beautiful, but our brothers and sisters are still there. And what is our excuse? This is not 1940 in Europe. We are not under occupation or anything else that's preventing us from releasing our brothers and sisters. And yes, indeed, we should do that. And yes, indeed, we should mind less what the other will say. And in my opinion, decent nations, decent people respect those who respect themselves, those who protect themselves. And such must be done way more than what we are doing right now. So thank you for the opportunity, and thank you, Barbara. I hope I didn't embarrass myself too much. Keep going after. We're gonna keep going alone after. Okay, thank you guys.
The way that the declaration ends is we appeal to the Jewish people throughout the diaspora to rally around the Jews of Eretz Israel and the tasks of immigration and building up of the land. But I think that we're already past that. I think now we don't want them to just rally around us. We need immigration from all over the world. We need it to continue. In order to build up the state, we need people here. So I encourage everybody that's watching from all over the world, please join us in Israel. Please join us in Jerusalem. We're waiting for you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm proud and happy to be here. To each one of us, just to make our declaration together as a Jewish, people out there, they think Zionist is some kind of white supremacy, some kind of white conquer someone's land. I would say here, as a black, as African, as Ethiopian, just to say whatever you are told, whatever you heard is not true. Here I am a living witness to tell you that I'm black, I'm Zionist, I'm Jewish, and we Jewish, we come with different size and kind and tribes. Blacks, whites, browns, short, tall, fat, small, religious with kippah, without kippah, good family, husband and wife, singles, rainbows, all kinds. That's who we are. And everyone, as a people, as a community, we have a place and a land and people in the Jewish state of Israel. I don't know, how each one of us as a Jew, as an individual, non-Jew, how you put your declaration. I, as a person, I make my declaration to be happy and proud to be with this big and larger community, who we are as who we are. With that, each one of us has acceptance and kindness, and we build, and we're not afraid. Anyone who, whatever you have to say, respectfully, we can hear you, accept you, but we are there to live as a Jewish, as a state, as Israel. Let the world know that.
Hello. Ooh, nice. So it's not a declaration, but a poem. A week ago, I got a phone call from this lovely lady telling me about Declaration Day. And me as an Israeli, I was like, yeah, what? The declaration, what? And then she sent me a link, and I got into it and read, and a poem came out of it. Poetry slam. If you know me, I do on social media, I do poetry slam advocacy, and I curse a lot. So I'm going to do my best not to read the F words in here. All right, so please excuse me if I do. So 14th of May, Declaration Day. Jews around the world showing up proud, standing strong and standing loud. One people, one call, one heart, one flag for all. And we remember the struggles that carried us here, the prayers and the sacrifice of those who we hold dear. Through persecution and darkness, we held into light, dreaming of freedom through each endless night. And then, out of the darkness, dawn of freedom arrived. Israel has reborn and our spirit revived. For decades since our homeland has thrived through wars and adversity, its spirit survived. And no matter where we are, this land is in our hearts. We stand together in spirit, even when miles apart. And today we remember the past and all those who fought. We celebrate the freedom that their sacrifice has bought. We stand tall, together, proud, unite, and free, because Am Yisrael Chai, and our nation lives for everybody to see. That's it. Thank you.
Well, I think that brings us to a poetic and creative end to what was otherwise quite an uplifting and enlightening night of remarks. Thank you so much to all of the members of the Diplomatic Corps who were able to join us tonight. Thank you again for being here. We really look forward to making Declaration grow every year. This is a global awareness initiative. It requires everyone to not only continue to engage with the texts of the past, but to translate them and to turn them into actions for today. We are fighting a war for our survival, and it should never be forgotten that we need everyone to be a part of it. Whatever your uniform, whatever your faith, whatever your background, where you come from, and wherever you might be going. The hope is that we will continue to inspire one another, because only by a small step can we make big journeys. And our journey now as the nation of Israel is one of thousands of years. Our leaders brought us to a pinnacle. They gave us a turning point. There are some who might consider October 7th as a turning point in our time. And it is important for us all to realize that, yes, catastrophes have befallen our people before. And perhaps, as my mentor Elie Wiesel taught me, we may have to face catastrophes that will fall upon our people again and again. But it is our job to stand up, raise our pride, hold our shoulders, and make sure that we stand shoulder to shoulder with others. And that is why Israel's independence became possible. We reached out around the world to find the friends, but we relied on the action of our own community, our leaders, young and old, who could truly make a difference. Thank you for being a part of tonight and for making a difference today when Israel needs us in every possible way on Declaration Day and every day. Thank you so much for your time tonight, and I am going to ask you to please stand as we close our evening, as they did 77 years ago, as they did even from within the gas chambers in Birkenau, as they sung generation after generation, and we carry with them on our shoulders, arm in arm, as we sing our national anthem. And again, remember, every hostage that deserves to be brought home, every family that struggles, every soldier that fights, every family of soldiers that are also coping, the bereaved, and the entirety of the nation of Israel, here and everywhere, we sing with them, and we are proud. Nefesh Yehudi Homiya Ulfatei Mizrach Kadima Ayin Letzira Sophia Thank you, everyone, for making Declaration Day history.